As I've already mentioned, Ron had his murderer's row of trainees that have passed through his painful, torturous, and agonizing doors over the years, and I will explain that term later. I first met Ron 34 years ago when I made my way down to Sully's gym, but I gotta backtrack and set the scene, okay? About a month before, the Toronto Star had an item in its weekly wrestling article in Norm DaCosta's column. Sully's gym and trainer Sweet Daddy Siki and Ron Hutchinson would be gifting free training to the winner of an essay contest. Yeah, I know, right? Ask wrestlers to write an essay? But I did. The essay needed to detail why you wanted to become a professional wrestler, and all essays would be submitted through the Star. So 3 weeks later, I received a phone call with a very distinctive Texan drawl, and it was Sweet Daddy Siki. He told me to head down to Sully so that I could take a look at me. My car was broken down. I was a broke 17-year-old, so I asked my grandpa to drive me down to the Big Smoke in Toronto. As we drove up to this dilapidated old warehouse next to Lansdowne Stadium, my grandpa chuckled because he's like, "What have you gotten yourself into?" I mean, this gym, picture Rocky I, Mickey's gym. That's what this gym was. I mean, Ali had trained there, George Chevalo had trained there. It was a boxing gym. And I loved it. I mean, you would walk around this gym, and I mean, there's hookers, there's pimps, there's Parkdale was not a nice place to be at that time, but man, I loved it. I couldn't get enough of it. I entered the building, I started walking up these dilapidated old stairs, and I just heard screaming. Now, the average person with a functioning brain would go the other way, or at least call the cops, but I was like, no, I'm heading toward those screams. Because I had a feeling behind those doors, my dreams were about to be fulfilled, and they weren't. So I poked my head in the door, and all the guys, because at that point it was just male students, they were in the ring, and it was like owls, like spinning their heads to see who this person was who was just walking through the doors and about to learn the secrets of professional wrestling. In the 90s, that was very closely kept still. But I saw Ron and Siki, and they called me in the office, and for about a half an hour, it was like they tried to talk me out of doing this. But they were real with me. In no uncertain terms, they said, if you came here to get famous, to get rich, wrong place. But if you came here to build a foundation and to be trained properly so that you can go out and try and chase your dreams, well, that we can do. And that's what they did. It was so painful. I didn't understand how, like, I was watching shows and going, okay, how are they doing this? Because I just felt what it's like to land in that ring, and just fluids wanted to come out of every orifice. It was so wrong, but also so right, as most of us know, right? So fast forward a bunch of years, and we all started to finally kind of make our break and start to make our way within the industry. And what I'd like to say about Ron, not only from his training, but also in his promoting, he put women in a position that at that point, it didn't happen. Women were main eventing shows that Ron Hutchinson promoted. Well before there was Evolution 1 or Evolution 2 or all that stuff, Ron Hutchinson was doing it up in Toronto. So anyway, back to that first day at the gym. So after talking around and Siki, they said, let's go out to the ring. So we walked out to the ring. It's 12 by 14. It's a boxing ring. It feels like concrete, I would find out. There's an ABC Wide World of Sports banner on the wall. I'll never forget it. And I realized now that they were trying to scare me away, because Ron then started shouting commands for pain, torture, agony. So this was an exercise where you basically ran, hands to knees, and Ron would call out things back. So you'd have to take a back bump, stomach bump, side bump. Remote control, flip back and forth. We'd have push-ups, we'd have sit-ups for 30 minutes. And it was PTA. It was pain, torture, agony. It sucked, but it got us prepared, and it didn't scare me away. I knew I could do it. But Ron instilled that in all of us. Part of his training, it wasn't just about what to do within the wrestling business, but just how to conduct yourself. professional wrestler. So that means I had to act like a pro and also understand who came before me, who paved the roads for me to be able to walk this road. And Ron taught us all of that in spades. We had respect when we walked out of Sully's gym. Respect for our industry, respect for everyone before us. We were trained properly. We were told the basics. We were taught the fundamentals. You didn't get to step foot in the ring until your fundamentals were conquered on the floor. So that means you did PTA on the floor. You did all of your bumps on the floor. And it taught us respect, I'll tell you that much. It also over the years, coming up in other dressing rooms, you end up talking to other people, and one of the things you usually talk about is who trained you. And I would say Ron and Siki, and I always got a measure of respect from that. And I think other veterans throughout the industry who I met through the years, whether they talked to me after I worked or before, they would always ask who trained me because they knew I had been trained right. I had been trained properly. And that's one of the greatest gifts I can think of because I never felt over my head no matter where I went. But more than anything, Ron Hutchinson changed my life. There's no question in my mind. When he decided to choose me to be the winner of that essay contest, it changed my life. It changed the trajectory. It changed, through wrestling, I have my family. I met Beth with WWE, and now we have two beautiful girls, and I think back, and if I don't take this road, and if Ron doesn't take that chance on me, I don't know where I end up. But here we are, 34 years later, and I guess it worked out. So, without further ado, I'd like to induct or present Ron Hutchinson, finally getting the recognition he deserves for what he's added to our industry. So this year's recipient of the Vern Gagne Trainers Award is my trainer, Ron Hutchinson.
Wow. I don't know whether you guys seen that, but I almost never made it.